Thank you very much, Mr. Jefferson, Dr. Hanif, for kind introduction. Thank you very much to organizing committee for inviting me to deliver this topic. So the topic given to me is pediatric ambulatory anesthesia and update. So actually, Friday evening at 4 p.m. is significantly not suitable to attend any lecture actually. Sorry for that. I believe some of you plan to eat ICT, UCT, and ICT after this. Anyway, please give me 30 minutes for this presentation. So I want to declare that no relevant financial relationship included the warung partner. So my presentation is some of my presentation will overlap with what Ms. Faizatul presented before, what Dr. Ken presented about the post-op nausea vomiting before. So there are three parts. Number one is statistic and numbers. Second, I try to mention a few issues and its updates. And last one, I think the most important is a case discussion. Pediatric day surgery is, we know, is most common from the statistic that Ms. Faizatul presented before, and increasingly more complex surgery are being carried out on more complex, more difficult children. And to deliver the high quality pediatric day surgery service, there are simply several key components to address or to update. So this data, you can see that some data are missing because it's taken during our subspecialty meeting in January last year. Some of the centers did not well collect their data. So you can see that some center still, this is a pediatric daycare surgery, not only the pediatric surgical case, but include the others pediatric based surgical. Okay. So HSNZ is 495 cases of daycare out of 1,795. It's total about 27.6. It's about sama macam Seremban. Some center even they produce a big number of elective cases, total elective cases, but their daycare still low in percentage with some reason. Some of the center don't have adequate daycare ward, or some center has some limitation. So this is our data. This is statistic from Statistic Daycare HSNZ 2020. I think Ms. Faiz mentioned this table. Our percentage is 28.58% total adult and kids. But the pediatric daycare is significantly higher. If you see here is a dental pediatric, more than 50%. More than 50%. So a bit about the pediatric team HSNZ that are operated in the ambulatory care center. We have a pediatric surgery, we have a pediatric ORL team, we have a pediatric ophthalmology. ECC is an East Coast center, meaning to say that in the East Terengganu, Pahang, Kelantan only have one pediatric ophthalmology. And we have a pediatric dental, pediatric hemato and onco, also East Coast center. Plastic surgery, pediatric orthopedic, and don't forget the core team is anesthetic. So this is our table, just for information. Dalam jadual ACCOT, every day we have a pediatric cases from Sunday to Wednesday actually. The busiest day is Tuesday. Almost all OT is a pediatric. So you can hear orang crying, meriah hari Selasa. So this is a HSNZ pediatric daycare percentage. Percentage means that 495 divided by 1095 times 100%. So 27.5, COVID 2021 turun sikit, dan sebelum tu it's more than, always more than 25 lah, always more than 25. So hopefully this year we can get the higher cases in the daycare. And this is according to the major department. The highest is pediatric surgery, pediatric ENT, pediatric dental, and pediatric eye. Pediatric ophthalmology, all the screen we operated as a daycare. Okay. I proceed with the second topic. Is an issue. Some of the issue I try to give some update. Number one is unplanned admission. Second is a child with a URTI undergoing ambulatory surgery. Third is post-op nausea vomiting in pediatric. Fourth one is a child with congenital heart disease undergoing ambulatory non-cardiac surgical procedure. Okay, the unplanned admission. The correct patient selection for daycare anesthesia and identification of high-risk procedure and associated factor are very important, essential, because failure to discharge home on the same day has a negative impact, not only to the patient but also the family, and they get the experience, service provision, and affect service provision and hospital finances. And today, I personally cannot find any our national data regarding the unplanned admission in the children, specifically for the children. But in HSNZ, the total of the patient, the total is 1.6% unplanned admission, and the highest is in the ONG 6.52. But in pediatric surgery is accident, 0. Pediatric dental 0.9. And ophthalmology is mixed with the adult, and ENT is a 3.27%. I try to mention a few studies. Zoe Green did a Papaya study, which is a pediatric unplanned daycare admission, which is published in the PGA recently, 2020, and it involved 60 centers in the UK and Ireland, which involved more than 20,000 pediatric patients, and they found the incidence of unplanned admission was 2.5. Go to the detail. The most frequent group of reason for unplanned admission was the surgical cause, which is 38.4%. And of the surgical reasoning, the most frequent was unexpected surgical complexity and more extensive than expected, which is 11%. Which is 11%. The anesthetic factor contributed to more than 1/3 unplanned admission across all over the specialty, with the commonest anesthetic reason being inadequate pain control, post-op nausea, vomiting, and post-op hypoxia. So the three main reasons for unplanned admission are pain, PONV, and post-op hypoxia. Another study, DA Blanco did an audit of unplanned admission at the Royal Hospital for Sick Children at the Glasgow, and this data collected between April 2000 to 2004 of more than 13,000 daycare surgery patients, and the incidence of unplanned admission was 1.8. The commonest cause of admission for all specialty combined were post-op nausea vomiting. Tengok list kat sini banyak post-op nausea vomiting, post-op bleeding, unexpected extent and difficulty of procedure, and drowsiness. And pain, another reason, pain caused admission of 16 cases, about 6.7%. And the procedure, the operation resulting in the most frequent admission were orchidopexy, 8.4%, circumcision 4.0%, and dental extraction 1.5%. The sub-analysis again showed the most frequent cause of admission was different for each three operations. Nausea and vomiting for the orchidopexy, post-op bleeding for circumcision, and drowsiness for extraction. Sound that our data is better than that. Amanda et al. Conducted a case control study on pediatric patient, which is scheduled for ambulatory surgery in the single center pediatric Canadian tertiary hospital from April 2005 to October 2012. And this objective of the study was retrospectively. They want to evaluate the incident and as well as the patient and procedural related risk factor. And the incident of unanticipated admission in children was 0.97. Anesthesia process were implicated in 46% of the unplanned admission, and the greatest anesthetic cost of admission was post-op hypoxia. The other important anesthetic cost of unanticipated admission in the study were inadequate pain control and PONB. And they found that the risk factors are age less than 2-year-old, ASA class 3 and above, surgical duration longer than 1 hour, completion of surgery after 3 p.m. ASA patient, and certain type of the surgery, orthopedic, dental, ENT, and occurrence of the intraoperative event. All this is a predictors of unanticipated admission. And unanticipated admission rate in children with OSA is higher compared to children without OSA. So in summary of unplanned admission that I presented earlier, the incidence ranging from 0.9 to 2.5%, and almost the commonest reason was post-op nausea vomiting. Then we know that why this kind of children worldwide data show that the most commonest reason is post-op nausea vomiting. So I go to the second issue, is post-op nausea and vomiting. And post-op nausea vomiting is the most common complication following GA in the pediatric patient. Although it is not life-threatening, but PONV is uncomfortable for the patient and can lead to worsen family patient dissatisfaction. The incidence of PONV in children is estimated ranging from 33% to 82%. It's because of what? Because in small children, some of the children are not verbally, cannot complain, and some of the patient also has developmental delay. Whether it's global or not, it's developmental delay, so cannot verbally report. And most of the feeling nauseous post-operatively is measured in the research study. So, Berhad et al. Create a POVOC score to predict the post-operative vomiting in children. POVOC is an acronym for post-operative vomiting in children. Later, Peter Cranky and friends validated this POVOC score. So you can see the table, this table, 0, 1, 2, and 3 or 4 risk factor correspond to the PONV risk for the approximate 10%, 30%, 50%, or 70% respectively. So we give prophylaxis is depend on the risk category. So let's say if score 0.1, meaning the incidence is low and not require any prophylaxis. So not all the pediatric surgery we give a prophylaxis post-op nausea vomiting if based on this criteria. This study, I think Dr. Ken mentioned before, this is an international panel of experts under the auspice of American Society of Enhanced Recovery and Society for Ambulatory Anesthesia, and they established the guideline for the management OMV, and they published in the ANAESTHESIA year 2020. And this guideline, you can Google it, this guideline provides a recommendation on identifying high-risk patients, managing the baseline PONV risk, choices for prophylaxis and rescue treatment for PONV. So I try to simplify. This diagram show the simplify of the management of the PONV in children. Okay. Look at the risk factor and divide into pre-operative, intra-operative, and post-operative. So then we can classify it into the low risk, medium risk, and high risk based on the table that I gave you before. And then from that, as explained by the Dr. Ken, that we can decide to give a prophylaxis based on the risk. And some of the patients require a rescue treatment. So in this study also, in this guideline also recommend a strategy to reduce the baseline risk ONV in children. Number one, avoidance of the GA by use of the regional anesthesia, use of propofol for the induction and maintenance of the anesthesia, avoidance of the nitrous oxide in surgery lasting over 1 hour, avoidance of the volatile anesthetic, minimization of the intraoperative and post-op, make sure that the patient have adequate hydration. Some simple cases like craniotomy may not need the intravenous fluid, but some cases like spine surgery or adenotoxectomy need the adequate hydration by giving the fluid, intravenous fluid to the child, and using the succorbandate instead of the statement for the reversal of neurovascular blockade. Okay, the third issue is a child with URTI undergoing ambulatory surgery. URTI, upper respiratory tract infection, are most common pre-operative comorbidity counted by the children, with an average of 6 to 8 URTI episodes per year. About 30% of the child presenting for elective surgery have the active URTI, 30%. Although there is an increased risk of the peri-operative respiratory adverse event in children with URTI, problems counted are generally benign and without long-term sequelae. So our dilemma is to proceed or to postpone if the child have active URTI scheduled for pediatric ambulatory surgery. We know that URTI is a risk factor for child to get a peri-operative respiratory adverse event. So the decision to proceed with anesthesia and surgery is controversial. Although some blanket cancellation of surgery because URTI avoid the potential complication, but it may also impose the social, emotional, economic consequences to the child, the family, as well as to the medical team. And postpone of the case may not always be necessary. Kalau dah 7-8 kali setahun dapat RTI, so almost every month. Minggu ni cancel, datang bulan depan RTI lagi cancel. So I believe you all, especially the anesthetic team, read or and familiar with this algorithm published in our pediatric anesthesia handbook, we follow this algorithm for child with a URTI, but it's mainly for the elective ward admission. Today I just update a bit regarding the prediction, how to predict a child with URTI for ambulatory surgery. So Jaraya and Subramanyam validate the COLD score, COLDS score, to predict the risk of perioperative respiratory adverse event in children with URTI and facilitate the decision of whether to proceed with surgery or to postpone the case. So what is a COLD score? Okay. The name of scoring is an acronym of the risk factor for perioperative respiratory adverse event that comprise of the COLD score, which is C stand for current sign and symptom, O stand for the onset of symptoms, L stand for the lung disease, D stand for the device to be used for the airway management, and S stand for the surgical type, whether it involves the airway or not. Then the further classified into the major and minor airway. And the COLD score has three possible choices for each risk factor component, which correspond to score of 1, 2 or 5, depending on the level of the severity of the total minimum score of 5 and maximum score of 25. The higher the score will suggest more perioperative risk. So let's say we have a 2-year-old, no medical illness, 2-year-old child, no medical illness, scheduled for daycare anatomy at my URTI with onset 3 weeks, and the anesthetic team planned for under GA using the AMBULATOry. So these children has undergoing ambulatory ilio-inguinal surgery. It's a 1 point. Having mild to moderate symptoms is a 2 point. And with onset of sign generally between 2 to 4 weeks, 2 points. Need GA and being ventilated using the AMBULATOry 2 points. 2 points. So the total will be 8. Is considered a low risk. So if one patient have a 5, satu skor tu dia dapat 5. Contohnya the current sign and symptom moderate and severe with purulent, wet cough, so consider 5. So even though yang lain dapat satu-satu, tapi satu tu dia dah dapat 5, so this 5 score, the single 5 score is considered as a red flag. So consider a warning to the anesthetic. So the fourth one, the issue is a child with congenital heart disease undergoing ambulatory non-cardiac surgical procedure. So there is a strong pressure to widen the indication of the ambulatory anesthesia in children. Everybody try to post a case as a data. Ms. Faiz said that why don't they care? So making a decision concerning a child with a history of cardiac disease is often difficult. In our setting, it is quite common to see a patient with congenital heart disease for ambulatory non-cardiac surgical procedure, such as for the dental clearance, or at some cardiac center, they may present for radiological procedure as a daycare. So we should ask ourselves, is it a child eligible for the ambulatory procedure? What are the unplanned admission rate, and how to set up a safe anesthetic plan for these children with congenital heart disease for a non-cardiac procedure. So we know that anesthesia for pediatric cardiac disease for non-cardiac surgery known to have high morbidity and mortality. And POCA registry reported that 50% of this cardiac arrest had occurred during non-cardiac surgery, and 19% occurred in the children with single ventricle disease, 16% in the presence of obstructive lesion, and 80% in the presence of left-right shunt. And this cardiac arrest, 48% had occurred during maintenance of the anesthesia. Okay? Try to remember that the incidence is very high if we are not properly select the patient. Okay? Yuki et al. In study of pediatric patient with congenital heart disease undergoing ambulatory non-cardiac surgery procedure found that the incidence of unplanned admission was 2.7, a bit higher because the child without cardiac congenital heart disease is ranging from 0.97 to 2.5 that I mentioned earlier. And cardiovascular adverse event incident, the Yuki et al. Found that was at 3.97. The respiratory adverse event incident was 1.87. And the main reason for admission was, it's not due to heart problem, but due to post-op nausea vomiting. Francis and Mona mentioned in current opinion in anesthesiology, they mentioned that the anesthetic care for child with history of heart disease presenting for an ambulatory procedure includes 3 steps. Number 1, understanding the pathophysiology of the child, current hemodynamic status. Second is checking whether he or she is actually eligible for the outpatient anesthesia. Don't only concentrate on the heart disease, but also check on whether this patient is fulfill the inclusion and exclusion criteria, general criteria for daycare surgery, and planning the safest anesthetic plan accordingly. The concept of congenital heart disease nowadays include not only the congenital heart defect, but it also include the congenital dysarrhythmia, such as the congenital long QT and Brugada syndromes, and also the acquired lesion such as the sequelae of the Kawasaki disease. Okay, the European Society of Cardiologists, AHA, and American College of Cardiologists classify the congenital heart disease into mild or simple, moderate or moderate complexity, and severe and great complexity. It's very difficult to memorize so many lists. So to make life simple, I prefer to follow this classification, which is more simple. Basically, a child with a minor congenital heart disease and a child whose cardiac disease that has been corrected, who is developing well and has no exercise restriction and undergoes regular cardiac follow-up, does not present more risk than any other normal child with ASA1 and ASA2. So child with a partially corrected or pediatric corrected cardiac defect will tolerate poorly hypovolemia, systemic hypotension, and hypoxemia. Thus, this kind of patient should not undergo ambulatory basic procedure during and after which such problem can occur, even for the radiological procedure under the care. So we already gone through all the statistics and numbers, the issue and a few updates, and now I want to take the opportunity to share a case that we did in the HSNZ. Okay, I will talk briefly regarding the anesthesia part of the daycare pediatric tonsillectomy. I believe some of the hospital in our hospital still not allow, still not practice pediatric tonsillectomy as a daycare surgery with some result. This data taken from the Miss Nikarani, our pediatric MD. The data is from the HSNZ. So in 2020, the daycare tonsillectomy is include the adult and kids. Is almost equal, 54 and 68%. But most of the, I believe most of the tonsillectomy daycare are the pediatric patients. And this is a number of total tonsillectomy in our daycare for the past year, 10 years, for the past 10 years. The detail of the statistic, I believe Ms. Nikarani will present tomorrow. So a bit of how we did pediatric tonsillectomy as a daycare. Probably you can take as a reference. You can practice it. So we started pediatric and adult tonsillectomy as a daycare surgery in 2013. And for the pediatric patient, the exclusion criteria is age less than 3 years old and patient with comorbidities such as Down syndrome, obesity, meaning that the body weight is more than 95% of each, neuromuscular disorder, and also patient with syndromic and craniofacial disorder, because this kind of syndromic predisposed to the obstructive sleep apnea syndrome. And the third is our exclusion criteria is a patient, pediatric patient with OSA. So after case selected by the primary team, they will send the patient to the NS clinic. So at NS clinic, we do assess a child properly and detail and make sure follow the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And we also look at the indication. Most of the indication tonsillectomy for pediatric, only two, the most common indication. Number one is a tonsillitis or obstructive sleep apnea syndrome. So for the time being, we accept the indication only tonsillitis. So any patient with the OSA, so far we do not accept. Some of the good center at the other country accept as OSA as a daycare. And ENT team have a clocking day, meaning to say that if daycare operation on Tuesday, they will see patient on Sunday. They name it as a clocking day. So if operation for the Wednesday, they will see the patient on Monday. So they will reassess, and at the same time they take GSH, because our MBOS require the GSH for any tonsillectomy and tonsillectomy surgery. So basically, this is the list how we do it. The operator is an ENT specialist, ideally lah, but most of the time operated by the senior MO. The anesthetic team, the anesthetic available at the CCOT, not ACC complex. So need by mouth, we follow according to the CPG, dia free 2 hours, but most of the children, the last meal adalah sebelum tidur kan. Bangun dah tak ambil breakfast. So we do it under GA, IPPB, brain tube and give a IV drip. Our as usual, we give the inhalationist, sevoflurane, and the thumbs up feature is personally my preference. I will give a Tiva Revimopofol, or sometimes I give a opioid-free anesthesia. And prophylaxis, post-op nausea vomiting, Renisatron and dexamethasone, give at the induction. Analgesia is sub-CM or IV PCN with subcutaneous. And And if I use the TIVA, I give a morphine post-extubation by titrating dose. The maximum is 0.05 milligram per kilo. If use the inhalational method, then I will give a morphine, low-dose morphine intraop. If the patient had high-risk emergency delirium, I will give a PCDAC 0.5 mic per kilo, about 30 minutes before extubation. And reversal as usual, but the optional is the supermarket. The ondansetron is not available in HSNZ. We only have the prednisolone for the diabetic bihydroxyglutamin 3. And the recovery OT and daycare ward, we assess the pain control, post-op nausea vomiting, and encourage the oral intake. And before discharge, we discharge according to the post-anesthetic discharge scoring system, and analgesic. Home, the ENT team give PCN and also NSAID. So regarding the PADSS, post-anesthetic discharge scoring system, if you look at the protocol by the KKM, the last page is a telephone assessment, something like that. You have to call the patient, every single patient, and follow the question that set up by the KKM. So we in HSNZ, every day after 24 hours, we assign the TK nurse to call the parent and assess the post-op nausea vomiting, assess the pain control, assess any complication. That, thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping our children safe. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Habib, for